everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up, the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that feels good. Because after all, that's what we want. We want to feel good. Hey, I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson, and today on the show, we'll be visiting with Brett McDonald. Brett is a longtime counselor, martial artist, author, and she's also the founder of DragonFly, which delivers team and leadership trainings. You know that I love to visit with inspiring people, and it's important to me to share those visits with you too. So do stick around for what's going to be a good conversation. But before we get to that, I do want to remind you that if you have questions you would like me to answer on or off the air, you can email those directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. And if we use your question on the show, I'm going to send you a copy of my Amazon best-selling book called The Practice of Feeling Good. If you've been following this show and you want to learn more about personal development and how to take on your life more powerfully, then grab a copy of my book. Just go to Amazon and type in The Practice of Feeling Good. You can also visit me at my website, fletcherellingson.com, where I have all sorts of free resources there. You don't have to figure it out all on your own. There are answers and solutions and ways to get unstuck and move forward powerfully. Now, at this point in the show, I usually take time to answer an email question and offer some coaching. But today, we're going to skip that part because I really want to give some additional time to our conversation with Brett. So we're going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be right back. Stay with us. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here, so glad you're in this conversation. Today on the show, we are visiting with Brett McDonald. Good morning, Brett.
Good morning, Fletcher. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Hey, as you know, we always like to start off the show with some wins, some feel-good, content. So what do you got? What's going well in your life that you can share with us?
Well, there's so many wins. I want to start with a local win, and this is so cool. The Wenatchee Apple Blossom Festival, I don't know if you knew this, won the Pacific Northwest Green Program Award for 2023 for their Toward Zero Waste initiative. And that was a collaboration of several organizations, one of which was my Wenatchee Confluence Rotary, really helped spearhead this with the wonderful work of Chris Cameron. Did you know we managed for the first time, the apple blossom is recycling and composting. We managed to keep 6.5 tons of garbage out of the landfill this 1 year. It's incredible. And so we're so pumped up for this coming festival. We just got a huge charge, and we're really going to be driving for those environmental objectives. And so here's a shameless plug. If anybody is interested in volunteering to staff one of the waste stations, we're getting volunteers for that. Just reach out to me, and I'll get you plugged in with the right avenues. But I'm just so proud of our city. I'm proud of our festival.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah,
it's the wave of the future, and Wenatchee's leading it. We lead it in so many ways. It's just like, yes, check, let's do it.
Cool.
Another win, I skied my first Black Diamond Ski Mogul this month. That's huge because I didn't learn to ski until I was 42, and then I promised I was never going to get off the bunny hill, but my friends are like agents of chaos, and they're always pushing me outside of makeup, like, you can do this, go, So I'm so proud of myself because I'm a huge inspiration to athletes everywhere. Of course I am. I finished my book. My book is called The Mind Machine. It took me 30 months to write it, and I've been wanting to write this book since 2014. So I'm just so happy to have finally gotten that done.
Right on.
And I've been co-leading a mindful leadership class with one of my personal heroes, Dr. Stuart Freed, and it's through the Chamber of Commerce. It's a 12-week class where we teach people about emotional intelligence and teaming in their careers and in their workplaces. It's very interactive. There's tons of discussion and group activities. It's a great way to bond and network with people and just get to know yourself better and how to be your best self at work and kind of indeed in life. So I'm thrilled about that. And finally, I'm in the process of collaborating with Brittany Young from People Over Profits. She's down in Austin, Texas. And what she does is she does sales and personal development for women in finance. So we're going to be doing a women's empowerment masterclass followed by a women's empowerment retreat for leadership. That's going to be in Leavenworth. in June, and I couldn't be more pumped. So lots of wins.
Wow, lots of wins.
I know, right?
You're involved in a lot of fun, empowering things, aren't you?
Got to stay busy.
Yeah.
Stay out of the parks.
Oh, right on. Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. So you have a background in counseling and psychology. About 17 years, you were a therapist, right?
Yeah.
And then you had a shift, and you started this thing called DragonFly.
Right.
A little bit about DragonFly and why the shift.
Oh, why the shift? Okay. Well, it's called DragonFly Team and Leadership Development, and I basically provide leadership development, obviously, and team building retreats for organizations. Why the shift? I have been I've been a therapist since I was 6 years old. I've always been fascinated by psychology. In fact, giving family therapy is how I paid my way through college. So I actually started my career as a therapist when I was 24, and I remember clients would see me and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, what is this kid gonna do for me?" And I would take offense, like, "I'm not a kid," but looking back, I'm like, yeah, I was totally a kid. Of course, what I lacked in experience, I made up for in enthusiasm. But now, just kind of thinking about what is psychology in group formation all about? That multiple layers of complexity and how people interact with one another, their customers, their stakeholders, the community. The intrigue of that puzzle just sucked me right in. I love to see the way teams start to click into place when people open up and they become vulnerable and they start to get to know one another on that deep level. It's absolutely, I don't know, nothing short of enchanting, really, and the potential for change and positive growth. I've just had a passion for helping people, so to be able to reach more people in group formation has been an inspiration to me. So I'm very excited.
Well, I'm with you on that page, because I think, I always say, one of the most exciting things to me in life is when you get to be present and witness transformation.
Completely.
I think like that just lights me up. And then, before that, there's this massive breakdown or confusion or chaos, and then you step into this new way of thinking, and there's this moment of transformation. It's just a beautiful experience.
Right, when people really tap in to their human side and start sharing that with one another, and then the potential that releases is,
yes.
Yeah, it's just inspiring, it's contagious. And I really love working with leaders, because leaders have such a huge potential to inspire and cultivate positive change with their employees, their customers, and their communities. And so sometimes with even just a small tweaks, it's amazing what a leader, the amount of change that they can create.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's kind of a widely misunderstood concept, leadership. Sometimes people think leaders are just like delegating, and to me, leadership has always been like you have the opportunity to influence the thinking of the people you're leading and enroll them into the possibility, into a vision of what's possible, right? And that what a wonderful opportunity, responsibility. You get to influence the thinking of other people.
Yeah, leadership is a gift, and it's a gift that gives to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Companies face all sorts of challenges in client and employee retention, right? And share a little bit about what you offer with DragonFly that makes a difference for companies to retain not only their clients but also their workforce.
Absolutely. Well, most leaders who are in C-suite positions are there because of their technical ability and their experience working in a specific field. But you'd be amazed at how many leaders are not actually formally trained in leadership, and there are so many skills to master there. It can be really overwhelming. I mean, they have to kind of get these skills on the job and through experience, but there's a lot of pressure on their leadership, and there's so many elements to leadership. You have psychological safety, communication, constructive conflict, cultivating diversity, helping people build accountability, and create that teaming, and all of that requires very strong leadership. So leaders are kind of left to learn these skills And that's why the field of leadership and team development is really exploding right now. There are so many books and podcasts and blogs and things that you can read about how to be a better leader. And you can fill your head with the right knowledge, but turning that knowledge into what you actually do can be very tricky because, and this is going to shock you, so put your head between your knees. People don't always do what they know they should do. We know that, and so making that transformation requires taking two-dimensional learning and applying it to a four-dimensional moving framework, and sometimes that translation is not always the smoothest. And so what I do is I provide the four-dimensional learning construct there. I get to know leaders on a very personal level. I want to understand their roles, their resources, their histories, and their personalities, so that what they're learning to do becomes what they actually do, and they're able to actually meaningfully transform and crystallize that knowledge. That just takes a lot of relationship building. So I build a relationship with people to help them through that process.
I love it. So important because a lot of people are thrown into a leadership position, or they find themselves in a leadership position, or they have aspired to get to that place, and then they're there, and then they realize, whoa, hold on a second, I don't have much training in this area.
Correct.
Or I'm not really sure now that I'm here what a leader does, or it looks simple and beautiful from the outside, and then when you get there, there's like, whoa, I didn't know there was going to be this, and this responsibility. So what you're able to do is create a one-on-one relationship with them and begin to bring some really solid skills and help them learn how to execute. Is that accurate?
Correct, and that's where I use a lot of my history as a therapist, because you really have to be in a position to coach the whole person and help that whole person transform, and that's a lot of what we do in therapy. Of course, leadership coaching and development is not therapy, but it does involve a lot of the same elements, that deep reflection, helping people understand their beliefs and their perspectives on the world and how those are serving them or maybe not serving them, and just their own personalities and how we enact those changes. It does take that deep relationship. We learn through relationships when you think about it. I mean, children learn through their relationships with parents and caregivers. Students learn through their relationships with teachers, and mental health clients learn through their relationships with therapists. And I kind of feel like teams and leaders learn through their relationships with me.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we're always in relationship.
That's the human.
That's the human experience. We're always in a relationship. I'm in a relationship with this chair right now. I'm in a relationship with you. I'm in a relationship with my computer when I'm on my computer. Right. We're always in relationship, and we can look for the opportunities or the lessons from those relationships. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's really how we grow. And so, unfortunately, a leadership book, no matter what is in it, is not a relationship. And really deep change comes through relationships. That's really how we grow. We grow one another.
Yeah.
And I love helping people grow. I love helping leaders grow.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We're going to be back and with some more conversation with Brett McDonald. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here. We are talking with Brett McDonald today, talking about all sorts of fun stuff about leadership, mindset, relationships, and making a difference.
Right.
So the other day we had a coffee and you shared that you're in the final stages of writing your book.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. What's the book called and what is it about?
All right. Well, the book is called The Mind Machine, Everything Everyone Can Use to Understand the Thing Everyone Uses to Understand Everything. And it is just that. I take the psychology and the human mind, and I break down its processes, its mechanics, and its purpose into a model of a 4-stroke engine. So I took the laws of physics and applied it to psychology and developed a system. The reason I wrote this book is because it was the book that I wish someone would have written for me when I was a young student. I studied psychology-related fields for 10 years in college, and even though I was filled with so much fascination of all these valuable ideas, there wasn't there wasn't anything that clicked it into one system. And I think we really do need a cogent system for psychology if we're to meaningfully understand our minds. And so I created one of my own, and I love just putting it out to the world to help people, understand, like, why do we feel what we feel?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do what we do? And what's the nature of relationships? What's the purpose of human life, like in general? I mean, if you can understand the physics behind that,
mm-hmm.
you're really in a position to be able to predict what your mind's going to do. And if you can predict it, you can control it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can control it, well, then you can direct it toward the things that you actually want to achieve in life, that feeling good, those deep relationships, career success, and just overall having that well-being. You've got to understand the nature of the mechanics behind what you do and what your mind is all about.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity to like a journey into self-inquiry, and you're going to explain like how the mind works.
Yes.
And how we can begin to influence it to produce the desired outcomes that we want, right?
Correct.
In a sense, like, instead of the mind using us, we're learning to use the mind.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And one of the major cruxes of humanity is when we make self-destructive choices or we make have irrational behavior, we often blame ourselves and one another because we just assume that it's straight choice. We don't consider the physics behind what we actually do. But when you can understand those physics, then you let go of a lot of that shame and the blame and that sense of, like what you have control over and what you don't,
mm-hmm.
so that you can actually work in what you have control over and direct it in a meaningful way. And what's interesting is all that self-help book stuff that we read, that really great advice that, like, wow, I really wish I could start doing that. You'll be able to start doing it.
Yeah.
So even though The Mind Machine is not a self-help book, it's the book that is going to enable you to make use of all the self-help material that you're learning. It's going to unlock that door. When you understand the system behind your mind, then you can do the things that you are really intending to do and lead with intentionality.
Yeah, and that's a difference maker when you begin to lead with intention.
Correct.
It's so huge. Excellent. So you've also got a lot of training in martial arts, right?
I do.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, so I have a black belt in extreme defensive tactics. That was a system that my Sifu Joseph Simonet from Key Fighting Concepts created. He had 9 black belts of multiple degrees, and what he did was he extracted the most essential elements out of all this learning and fitted into one cogent system. It's very similar to what I did with psychology and thermodynamics in the thermodynamic system I built, is take what's kind of out here and bring it into an understandable, simplified, and more efficient system. It was brilliant what he created. And unfortunately, I am the only person who has a black belt in extreme defensive tactics, because shortly after he trained me, Joseph became ill and passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I had been in the middle of creating a corporate training enterprises that would combine my skills as an organizational psychologist with his skills as a martial arts team builder and coach. But that vision was cut short. So now I am continuing that vision with his former head of instructor at Key Fighting Concepts, Kyle Lesmeister, and we're kind of continuing on.
Great.
That vision. Yeah.
Great. And you have an event coming up in April?
It's in April 5th.
And you're going to be incorporating some of these concepts, martial arts and psychology, in an event for women. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. It's a women's leadership retreat. I teach people of the fundamentals of thermodynamic psychology and then help them see how that shows up in group formation, in our social networks, and in our workplace organizations, and help them draw those connections and help them understand their personalities, their patterns, their mindsets, their roles and what's really going on inside of them. The way that I flush that out isn't by asking people directly. I have people do experiential exercises where they're learning something new with a partner, and you'd be amazed at how many dynamics that are happening at work and in the rest of our lives show up in that moment. And when it shows up, we're in a great position to, hey, let's spot it, let's talk about it, let's discuss and really start to work with this material so that we can achieve alignment toward our, between our power and the outcomes we want to achieve. One of the most important things I teach women is how to move with power. And that seems strange, and like, well, why does movement contribute to our goals? But a lot of times it is really hard to change how you feel or what you think, but you can change how your body moves. And if you change how your body moves, your thinking and your feeling is going to follow suit, and you're going to take a stance of empowerment.
Yeah.
And that's what women, everybody really needs is to make that connection.
Yeah, how we carry ourselves, how we are standing, sitting, breathing, all of that really affects our emotional state, and therefore affects, again, the outcomes that we produce in the physical world.
Absolutely, it's how we show up.
Yeah.
And we believe everything we do, not just our choices and our behaviors, but we believe how we move. So if you move in a way that's, kind of shut down, I mean, like, your mind is going to believe that is true, that I should not take space, that I don't have power. When you open yourself up, something else happens.
Yes. Yeah, it immediately triggers new thinking, right? Or different
Absolutely.
thinking.
It's a totally different alignment, and all you have to do is change your body.
Yes. Yeah. What do you love about martial arts?
Oh gosh. Well, I am a pacifist for sure. And people think like, well, somebody who's martial arts, they like violence. I don't. I absolutely abhor violence. But I do love the movement. I love the way that our bodies change and connect with that power and that grace. It's like a dance, and I find it very compelling because it's an instrument for how we can navigate through life, really, when you train your body that way. And it doesn't have to be martial arts. It could be dance, it could be gymnastics, it could be, really anything that you connect with your body like that. It transforms your mind.
It really does, yeah. Like you said, it could be dance, it could be exercise, it could be running, it could be walking, right? It could
yoga,
swimming. Yoga.
Anything.
I mean, anything where you're moving your body and kind of interacting with that flow of energy, right? A lot of people may not think of just dance that way, but oh my gosh, it feels so good to dance. I love dancing. I'll dance in my living room. I'll dance when we go out because there's an energy that comes with it, and it just makes me feel alive, right?
Absolutely.
And all I'm doing is moving differently, right? Yeah, really neat. Real quick, you've got give us the dates of the women's retreat.
April 5th through 7th. It's going to be in Suncadia. And if people are interested in enrolling, you can go to my website, dragonflyteamlead.com. Just scroll down and you can enroll and become part of this retreat. And I really hope people do. Yeah.
And what's the address for your website where they can just get information about working with you or your book?
Yes, well, there's two websites. So the first one is for my organizational work, and that's dragonflyteamlead.com. You can sign up for group retreats, individual coaching sessions, or if there's a service that you want that isn't listed, send me an email, because I really love to tailor my work to fit the needs of unique clients, for sure. If anybody's interested in reading the book, it's not quite published yet. It'll be out in about a month, and that's on thermodynamicpsychology.com. You can sign up to receive the newsletter, and I'll send you an email when it's out. You can read blogs, and you can kind of see the template that I use there.
All right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. I think we covered it all. Thanks so much for being on the show, Brett.
Thank you, Fletcher. I appreciate it.
All right. Now it's time for you to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You do have something to offer this world, and I believe in you.